He saved a baby and raised him as his own. 17 years later, the FBI came knocking. Welcome to the channel where every story reveals a deeper truth. If this one moved you, let us know where you're watching from in the comments. We'd love to hear your voice across the world. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a story that could change the way you see family, justice, and love. A powerful new story is coming tomorrow. You won't want to miss it. It was just past midnight in the south side of Chicago, where the wind cut through the streets like broken glass and the streetlights flickered more than they glowed. Officer Jack Monroe, a 39-year-old veteran of the force, was on a routine patrol, though nothing about this part of the city ever felt routine. This stretch of town was known for its silence, the kind that came after too many people had given up on being heard. But on that particular night, as Jack's cruiser idled near a row of boarded-up warehouses, something pierced the stillness, a sound, a sharp, high-pitched cry. At first he thought it was a stray cat, maybe injured or trapped. He cracked open his window, listened again. The sound came again, faint, but unmistakably human. Jack stepped out of the vehicle, the cold air biting through his uniform, and followed the noise down a narrow alley behind an old warehouse. The smell hit him first, garbage, rot, damp cardboard, and then through the dim orange light of a distant street lamp, he saw movement near a dumpster. There, in the middle of torn trash bags and discarded takeout containers, lay a tiny bundle, a baby, a newborn. Jack's heart clenched. The child was wrapped in a dirty white t-shirt, so small, he barely filled the space between Jack's hands. His skin was dark, his breathing shallow, and the umbilical cord was still attached. No blanket, no note, no sign of anyone who might have left him there. Just a child, cold, abandoned, and fighting to live. Without thinking, Jack peeled off his police jacket and wrapped the infant carefully inside, shielding him from the wind. He radioed for backup, but he didn't wait. He cradled the child against his chest, ran back to the cruiser and drove straight to the nearest hospital. No sirens, no hesitation, just instinct. A man, a father in the making, driven by the raw, human urge to protect what others had thrown away. At the hospital, the baby was stabilized. Doctors said it was a miracle he had survived even an hour in that condition. The nurses called him Miracle Boy at first, but Jack chose the name Tyler. And in that moment, holding that baby in a hospital waiting room, Jack knew something had shifted inside him. He hadn't just found a child. He had been chosen by fate to save one. And even though no parents ever came forward, no reports were filed, and no one claimed him, Jack couldn't walk away. He didn't just find Tyler, he rescued him. And as the hours turned to days and the news moved on, Jack and his wife Melissa stepped forward to do what no one else had. They gave him a home, a name, a future, and that's where the story truly began. They called him Tyler Monroe, and after that night, the night Jack pulled him from a dumpster behind a warehouse in the cold streets of Chicago, everything changed. No parents ever came forward. No one reported a missing newborn. The case file sat empty, a silent echo in the system. But Jack couldn't ignore the pull in his heart, the way this tiny life had been thrust into his world, as if fate had dropped him there, asking, "What will you do now?" Jack and Melissa had been trying to have children for years. IVF treatments, long nights, tears behind closed doors. Nothing had worked. But Tyler wasn't planned. He was chosen, not by blood, but by something deeper, something stronger. And from the moment he was cleared by doctors and social services, Jack and Melissa took him home. First as foster parents, then after a year of paperwork and legal battles as his parents, for good. Life didn't suddenly become perfect. There were still stares at the grocery store, awkward questions from strangers about where he came from or if he was really theirs. Tyler, a black child raised in a white family in a predominantly white neighborhood, noticed those differences early. But love has a way of outshining skin. Jack and Melissa never hid the truth from him. When Tyler was 7, Jack sat him down and said plainly, "We found you on a night the world wanted to forget you. But I didn't. I never will." Tyler held on to that. He grew up curious, obsessed with space documentaries, asking wild philosophical questions at the dinner table that left his parents laughing and stunned. He wasn't loud, but he had presence, a quiet gravity that pulled people in. By the time he turned 17, he stood 5'11", wore hoodies that swallowed him whole, and dreamed of becoming a forensic pathologist. Not just because he loved science, but because deep down he wanted to give the forgotten a voice, just like he had been given one. Jack, now in his 50s, watched his son grow with a quiet pride. He never missed a game, a parent-teacher conference, or a late-night emergency room trip when Tyler twisted an ankle during practice. He didn't care about DNA. He cared about the boy who once fit in his arms, wrapped in an old jacket, and 1,000 unanswered questions. Their bond wasn't perfect. There were moments, tensions, questions Tyler never voiced aloud. But there was also a rhythm to their lives. Sunday pancakes, dad jokes, movie marathons. It was a life stitched together not by accident, but by intentional love. So, when the horror knock came at the door one Thursday afternoon, when 2 FBI agents stood on their front step, asking for Tyler and requesting a DNA test, something in Jack's chest sank. He didn't understand what they were saying at first. A cold case, a missing child, a possible match. But he saw the look in Tyler's eyes, confusion, fear, doubt. And that was when the calm began to crack. And everything they'd built for 17 years started to tremble. It was a Thursday, late afternoon. The sun had dipped low enough to cast long shadows across the porch when Jack Monroe opened the door, and everything began to unravel. 2 men stood outside, both in dark suits, their expressions unreadable. They didn't introduce themselves. With small talk, one flashed a badge, the other spoke plainly. "Officer Monroe," he said. "We're with the FBI. May we come in?" Jack blinked. The title felt like a relic now. He hadn't worn the uniform in years. Still, his instincts kicked in. He stepped aside. Melissa appeared behind him, drying her hands on a kitchen towel, confusion growing across her face. The agents sat at the dining table where Tyler had eaten breakfast just hours earlier. "We're reopening a cold case," one of them explained. 17 years ago, a woman named Amanda Wilson went missing shortly after giving birth in a private clinic in Alabama. That clinic was later shut down for malpractice. Amanda died during childbirth. Her baby was never found. Jack didn't understand where this was going. The taller agent leaned forward. "We have reason to believe that child may have survived and may be living under a different name. We're asking to speak with your son, Tyler." Melissa's breath caught in her throat. Jack narrowed his eyes. "You think he was kidnapped?" The shorter agent replied. "It's one of the possibilities we're investigating." Jack's jaw clenched. "I found him in a dumpster. He was abandoned." "We know your account," the agent said, calm but firm. "It's in the file, but some new information has come to light. We're simply asking for a DNA sample. It will help rule things out, or in." Just then, Tyler walked in from the hallway, headphones around his neck. He froze when he saw the suits, his eyes darting between his parents and the strangers. "Is this about me?" he asked quietly. The agents explained. Tyler sat down slowly. His face was pale, his voice trembling. "Do you think I was kidnapped?" Jack didn't hesitate. "No, I don't. But we'll take the test. We'll clear this up together." The swab was quick. The agents left with the silence of men used to detonating family lives. What followed were 2 of the longest weeks Jack had ever lived through. Tyler barely spoke. Melissa cried when she thought no one could hear. Jack kept replaying that night in his mind. The wind, the dumpster, the tiny body wrapped in cloth. Had he missed something? Had he saved a child? Or stolen one without knowing? Then the call came. The DNA matched. Tyler Monroe was, biologically, the son of Amanda Wilson. The woman had given birth in secret. She had died. And the child, Tyler, had vanished without a trace. Until now. But that wasn't the worst part. The FBI returned. No warnings. No knock. This time they came with handcuffs. Jack Monroe was arrested on suspicion of interfering in a federal investigation, obstruction of justice, and unlawful custody. Tyler watched it happen, in shock, in silence. "You said you found me," he whispered. "I did," Jack shouted from the back of the vehicle, eyes wide with fear. "I swear to God, Tyler, I saved you." But for the first time, Jack wasn't sure anyone would believe. The image of his father in handcuffs haunted Tyler. He couldn't sleep, couldn't think. The memory replayed every time he closed his eyes. Jack shoved into the back of a black SUV, shouting through the tinted glass, "I saved you." And Tyler just stood there, frozen, caught between the truth he believed and the one the world was forcing on him. The FBI had made up their mind. The timeline matched. The video clip from 17 years ago showed a man in a police uniform near the private clinic where Amanda Wilson had died. The footage was old, grainy, the face obscured. But the uniform, the build, it looked like Jack. And that was enough to throw everything into question. Jack maintained his innocence through a grueling 9-hour interrogation. Same answer, again and again. "I found him. I didn't know he had a family. I didn't take him." But the more he said it, the less it seemed to matter. Doubt clung like smoke, impossible to clear. Tyler, however, wasn't done. He wasn't going to sit back while the man who raised him, the man who changed his diapers, taught him how to ride a bike, sat through every parent-teacher conference, was painted as a kidnapper. No. Tyler knew one thing for certain. His father didn't steal him, and he was going to prove it. He started with the only thing he had, questions. Then he went digging. He reached out to Marcus Allen, the civil rights attorney who had helped one of his classmates the year before. Marcus agreed to help, quietly and off the record. Together they began combing through every piece of footage, every public record, every forgotten article from nearly 2 decades ago. The break came late one night. Tyler was scanning a corrupted surveillance file from a gas station next to the warehouse where he had been found. The footage was blurry, distorted with static, but something moved in the corner of the frame. A figure, hooded, holding something in their arms. Tyler slowed the video, adjusted the contrast, and watched as the figure approached the dumpster. His dumpster, and carefully placed a bundled object inside. It wasn't Jack. Marcus enhanced the image using forensic software. The hood slipped slightly as the woman turned to look behind her. That face. Tyler felt his stomach twist. He knew her, Cynthia Hayes, a former police officer, Jack's ex-partner. She had vanished the same year Tyler was adopted. Rumors said she'd moved out of state. Others claimed she was dismissed quietly after misconduct allegations. But there she was, captured on video, dropping him into a dumpster like garbage, an hour before Jack even arrived. Tyler's hands shook as he stared at the paused frame. This was it. This was the proof they needed. Cynthia had resurfaced in Arkansas under a fake name, working security at a shipping facility. Marcus made a few calls, pulled strings, and within a week the past came crashing back. Cynthia Hayes was arrested, and when she opened her mouth, everything changed. The truth didn't just come out. It detonated. Under the bright lights of an interrogation room in Little Rock, Arkansas, Cynthia Hayes finally broke. No more aliases, no more running. Just a former cop, disgraced, weary, finally telling the story that had been buried for 17 years. She had been off duty that night, leaving a nearby club after a few drinks. That's when she saw a woman, disheveled, pale, bleeding, stumbling through an alley with a newborn in her arms. The woman collapsed near a dumpster, cradling the baby against her chest, whispering over and over, "He's not safe. Don't let him go back. Don't let them take him." That woman was Amanda Wilson. Cynthia had panicked. She admitted she didn't know what to do. She didn't want to get involved. She had alcohol in her system, and getting caught helping a dying woman with an unregistered birth could end her career. So instead of calling it in, instead of doing her duty, She walked away. But not before making a choice that would haunt her forever. She gently placed the baby into the dumpster, wrapped in Amanda's shirt, and told herself that fate would decide. That someone would find him. And someone did. Jack Monroe. Cynthia never imagined he'd be the one. She had no idea he'd take the child in, raise him, love him. And when the story of the abandoned baby made headlines weeks later, she kept quiet. She left the city, changed her name, and tried to bury her guilt under a new life. But the video Tyler found, grainy as it was, brought it all back. And under pressure, she confessed. Every word matched the timeline. Every detail confirmed what Jack had said from the beginning. He didn't steal Tyler. He saved him. Within 48 hours of Cynthia's arrest, the FBI dropped all charges against Jack Monroe. The story flipped overnight. Headlines once filled with suspicion now screamed redemption. Hero cop cleared in cold case, former partner confesses. But for Jack, vindication came at a cost. He returned home not to silence, but to a front yard filled with neighbors, friends, even strangers, applauding. Him welcoming him back. Yet all he looked for was one person. Tyler, the boy he'd raised. The boy who had fought for him when no one else would. Tyler stood on the porch, hands buried deep in his jacket pockets, eyes red from too many sleepless nights. They didn't say a word. They didn't need to. Jack opened his arms. Tyler walked straight into them, and the world, with all its noise and headlines and chaos, fell away. Weeks passed. Jack was offered reinstatement on the force. He declined. "I already protected the most important thing I ever could," he told reporters. "My son." Tyler was officially added to the Wilson family registry. He traveled to Alabama to meet his late mother's relatives, an aunt, 2 cousins. They welcomed him with open arms, shared photo albums, memories, and a necklace that once belonged to Amanda. But when one cousin asked, "So, are you moving here now that you know where you come from?" Tyler smiled. "I already have. A home." This story isn't just about a baby in a dumpster or a father being wrongfully accused. It's about the meaning of family, the weight of truth, and the choices that define who we are. Now, we want to hear from you. What would you have done if you were in Jack's shoes that night? Do you believe love is more powerful than biology? And how would you feel if everything you knew about your past was suddenly questioned? Let us know in the comments below. Your thoughts, your perspectives, they matter here. Whether you've experienced adoption, have a blended family, or just connected with this story on a human level, we welcome your voice in this conversation. Do you believe justice was truly served? Or is there still something deeper we need to reflect on as a society? Scroll down, leave a comment, and let's talk about it. Because sometimes the real ending to a story begins with the discussion that follows. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true and powerful stories that explore the heart of what it means to be human.